Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the council of the city of Long Beach on Tuesday, December 18, 2018 at 7 p.m. Roll call, Councilmember Bendo.
Here.
Councilmember Mandel.
Here.
Councilmember Moore.
Here.
Vice President Diamond.
Here.
President Ramos. Let the record indicate the presence of acting city manager Michael Taggart. Council Member Anderson, I'll have a salute to the flag.
Councilman Bendo, with that beautiful jacket, would you lead us?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as we always do, we'll start with the city manager's update.
Yesterday morning, the city learned of a planned Santa-Con bar crawl that's to be held in the West End on December 22nd. Due to concern from residents, community groups, and our police department, the city contacted the local restaurant bar owners set to participate in the event, so safety and quality of life issues affecting the West End residents could be relayed to them. We were not contacted by the organizers prior to the event being advertised online, even after the event had to be moved from Rockwell Center due to the concerns there. We are happy to report that all of the restaurant bar owners have agreed not to participate in the bar crawl. We would like to thank the West End restaurant owners and encourage everyone to show their thanks by grabbing a bite to eat while shopping locally for last minute gifts. On the side, that there was absolutely no harm twisting. The bar owners were very cognizant of the quality of life issues, and they immediately agreed to not participate. Last Wednesday, Southampton Community Hospital held its first public information session regarding proposed changes to the former Long Beach Medical Center site. We urge all residents to attend Southampton's January meeting to learn more about the new plan and provide feedback. Once notified, the city will post meeting information on its website and social media platforms. New York Rising's interim mortgage assistance program, which provides mortgage and rental aid for those still rebuilding from Sandy, is set to expire at the end of the year. The city has advocated for a deadline extension for some time now, as many are still in the process of elevating their homes because of new financial hardship. Unfortunately, since it's not yet been granted, we will continue to work with our state elected officials to advocate for such action. Resident parking permits are now on sale, currently to be purchased at the clerk's office, room 307, in City Hall, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or by mail. The office of the city clerk will be open late on Tuesday, January 15th until 7 p.m. For more information, visit longbeachny.gov. First night, join your friends and neighbors from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on our 5th annual first night on December 31st at the Long Beach Ice Arena. This fun, family-friendly event includes ice skating, games, crafts, music, a movie, and snack bar special. There will be a special music ball drop at 6:30 p.m. We hope to see you there. Admission is free. With that, we'd like to wish everyone a wonderful holiday season and a happy new year.
All right, thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for your work with the Santa-Con, and I'd like to thank the West End neighbors, and I know Brendan Healy, I don't see him here, but I see Bill, for also working with the community and the bars and rectifying that situation. So with that, I'll call the first hearing.
Okay, the first item is a public hearing for a local law amending the charter of the city of Long Beach regarding assessment, levy, and collection of taxes.
All right, if I can call our tax assessor, Mr. Flammer. Good evening.
So we're going to change the law and charter to codify and bring our exemption process into compliance with state law with what we've been doing, and to also allow those exemptions for limited income disability and co-ops for that exemption, and also for the council to allow me and future assessors to accept late legal applications from seniors for cause such as if they were in a hospital or an accident or something to that effect. I'm allowed to accept it after the taxable status date. The first law is to codify nonprofit organizations in the city to allow them to receive the exemption that we have been granting for the past 10 or so years. And the other law after that is for the senior citizen exemption to allow the exemption for residents and co-ops.
Okay. So the first one you said was just codifying, and it's already been happening for 10 years. And these exemptions come from the state, they're granted?
There are state exemptions, and we grant them on the local option under the state's authority.
Any other questions from the council?
And you had, I think in some of our earlier discussions, these are provided by the county as well.
Yes,
With respect specifically to the senior and low income exemption and disability exemption that
yes, the county allows it, and we also allow it already in houses and condos. This is just to codify the co-op.
Thank you.
Well,
And just to highlight, the last piece you said was waivers for folks that aren't able to pay their taxes due to illness in the hospital or something like that.
That's if they forget or are unable to submit their renewal application, not a new application, but a renewal application. So they have exemption for a few years,
Right.
weren't able to get the renewal application on time, and they get a tax bill, they won't lose that house, they'll be able to approve it after the taxable status date.
Great, I'm sure that'll be helpful to a lot of folks. Anything else from council? Anyone from the public? Mr. Verona? State your name and address for the record.
Hello, Eddie Vernon. What is the City of Long Beach constitutional tax limit? And will this affect that tax limit by the Constitution in any way?
I don't know about the constitutional tax limit, but the exemptions are revenue neutral. It just changes the tax rate for every exemption that's given.
Thank you. The constitutional tax limit is that the New York State Constitution has a certain limit on how much municipalities can impose taxes. It's a formula I don't know it off the top of my head. So I was just wondering if this legislation would affect it, but thank you.
It was just for edification, because I asked something similar to you, and I think I gave 4 rate writers credit today with all the emails. I said, this only affects a very small number of people. I think you said it was about 4 people.
Yeah. Right now, the cost with, we have on the current tax bill, we have 4 seniors in co-ops that get the exemption, and next year we'll have 6. So it's very minimal.
Okay.
And just for clarification purposes, it's on the specific unit, not
Yes,
the
it's not the
entire.
entire building, it's the actual unit, the co-op owner has to qualify for the exemption, and just they receive the benefit.
So it's basically, the bottom line, it's a negligible amount.
Yeah, if you,
This is more a procedural thing.
yes.
Okay. Anyone else from the public? Mr. Lester? Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure, Roy Lester, Long Beach. Just a question. I just heard the word local option. So this is not mandated by state law. We have the ability to decide which ones we want.
By local law, the 420B class of nonprofits is local option, and allowing the other exemptions in co-ops is also a local option.
That's something I didn't know. So how much in city of Long Beach is exempt? How much property?
I have those numbers, and I give that to them. It's right at the bottom of the supplemental.
But with regard to this specific exemption here, the senior exemption, particularly for the co-ops, you said it was 4 and potentially next year 6, correct?
For this,
Yes.
But Mr. Diamond, I'm talking about globally.
I understand, I was just clarifying your response. I heard your question and I understand what you were asking.
I mean, at a certain point, we do have a lot of property that's exempt. And, we do have a hospital that's exempt, and I don't know what other part of their property is going to be exempt. I don't know, how far that extends, if they're doing assisted living, if that's going to be exempt. It's just something that we should look at a certain point. We're not that rich that we could grant carte blanche on the exemptions of anybody who happens to have a not-for-profit that, is helping animals or something like that. It's just something we should know, we should look at. Thank you.
Well, it's also my understanding that the statute, the state statute that provides for the exemption specifically defines which exemptions and which not-for-profits and how you go about, we're just opting into the legislation. It's not that we're opting into a separate and distinct definition of what an exempt, or for example, not-for-profit or historical, which is what you just mentioned, the not-for-profit. But I believe that that's already defined by the statute. This is just opting in. We're not redefining which properties are exempt or not. And it is my understanding that actually, in this case, would be cost neutral.
I'm not talking about this, I'm talking about, again, globally, the exemptions. It's something that we should look at, because even though the state defines it, we have the local option. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Gosselin.
Can I say something?
Oh, please do, Mr. Plum.
Not all exemptions are local options. Some are mandated by the state, such as hospitals, educational,
Hospitals,
properties,
education.
government properties, schools, religious properties, are all mandated to be exempt by the state.
So that sounds like most of the exemptions would be mandated by the state,
Yes, beyond that, and then also there would be a veterans exemption also.
mandated by the state. Hospitals, education, government, churches, all mandated. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Go. Mr. Gosselin, name and address for the record?
Yeah, hi, Jay Gus, Long Beach. I'm just going to put clarification on this. So this exemption from property taxes is a function of the tax exempt status of the owner of the property, not the use of the property?
I guess you could.
It's based on the use of the property for one part, and the other has to do the organization. The organization has to meet the nonprofit test.
So I'm just looking to figure out whether or not some nonprofit could amass, for whatever reasons, significant number of properties, which would obviously severely undercut our tax revenue. Of course, anytime you give an exemption, invariably that slack has to be picked up by other taxpayers. And I just think that it's not clear to me, and again, I know you guys are kind of working on the state law with this, but I think that there should be some sort of language in here, making it clear that, again, if it's legal, that this exempt status should only be accorded to properties that are being used for the purposes of the tax exempt organization, rather than, let's say, like a hospital, for instance, they acquire a lot of houses on the periphery of their hospital is, and obviously that was a significant chunk of tax revenue loss to the city. Again, as I brought up at the last meeting, the hospital property not being used as a hospital hasn't been used in a long time as a hospital. I just want to know if this conveys the tax exempt status, regardless of whether they use it as a hospital, if the ownership of the property is held in the name of a nonprofit or tax exempt entity. Do we know? Or am I being redundant?
New York State law pretty much dictates what is exempt, what's not. There's a tremendous amount of case law, we're trying to make nonprofits taxable, but the hospital's exemptions are under review. And the new year will know if they're fully taxable, partially exempt, or what it is. But they're under review.
You understand, I'm trying to make the use distinction, whether you have to use it for that purpose of that tax.
Part of the exempt process, if they have a bona fide plan to build something, then they are still exempt,
I got you.
and that's where the gray areas there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Plum. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Hession. Name and address.
Connie and Hessian Long Beach, I did speak to, people from South Nassau, and they said since they're tax exempt, they will never have to pay a penny in taxes on any of that land as long as they own it. That's their opinion. My opinion is I shouldn't pay taxes on my house either, but whatever. I am wondering about all the homes, because I do remember a few years ago when you had the Budget Act, you did say what houses in Long Beach were tax exempt. Does anybody check up on those? I mean, do they have to fill out paperwork before they're chosen to be tax exempt?
Every nonprofit has to follow their usual, except for the government, houses, except for government properties.
And the other thing is, I'm glad you're here, because my question, after asking the hospital, the Hebrew Academy has not been an educational institution for a while, and they don't own it, so I'm wondering if they pay taxes.
They been paying taxes for the test here and also the Coleman Center.
Very good.
As a tax law test unit.
Thank you very much. That's good
Thank
news.
you. Thanks again, Ryan. Any other questions from the public on this item? Okay, close the hearing.
Okay, on to the regular calendar. Item 1 is a local law amending the charter of the city of Long Beach regarding assessment, levy, and collection of taxes. The hearing has been held on this item already. Item 2 is resolution authorizing settlement of an action brought by Ben Luack against the city of Long Beach.
Right, this is one of the two personal injury settlements on the agenda tonight. This first one in 2012, the plaintiff was riding his bike on Park Avenue, Regina's. He swerved to avoid traffic and rode into an allegedly defective street patch. Plaintiff claims the defect was the result of our repair work, which we denied. He suffered a compound fracture of his femur, requiring surgery. Rear rods were inserted. He underwent in-house rehab for about a week. After that, and as stated in the reso, the plaintiff's demand hovered somewhere around $800,000 for the majority of this case. Right before a trial earlier in the year, the judge recommended a settlement of $425,000. We were not prepared to pay that amount. We never were, and what we rarely do in our office. We roll the dice in this case, because the plaintiff was on hand. We proceeded to trial, whereupon we received a comparative negligence verdict, 30% liability for the city, 70% for the plaintiff, which was a fantastic result. I've been briefing the council on this case for a period of years because we knew with the plaintiff's demand, it was likely to result in a trial. So at this point, if we do not settle, we will go to a damages inquest where we can expect to pay at least 50 to 60 in costs just to conduct the damages inquest, plus the award, whatever that's going to be on top of that. So with that said, after quite the odyssey in this case, we strongly recommend a settlement.
Any questions from the council? Any questions from the public? Ms. Hessian?
Aren't there signs up in the business district that you're not allowed to ride a bike through there?
On the sidewalk this week?
Yeah, this is by Gina's, and there are signs, but,
So shouldn't that man be in jail?
I'm sorry.
Shouldn't he be in jail instead of taking this money, $180,000?
It's not a criminal violation, but however, even in cases like this, we can still be held adult, even in situations where the plaintiff may be acting unlawfully, if we're on notice of a defect or we create a defect, as you say.
All right, so you talked about him, there's a second person.
Sorry.
So you can,
If he was in the road,
But I thought you weren't allowed to ride your bike at all in the business district.
Only on the side.
Oh. Okay. Did you talk about the second person?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's coming.
thank you, Ms. Hessian. Anyone else? Ms. Sullivan? Sure.
Yeah, hi, Jay Russell, Long Beach.
Thank
Mr. Eggers needs to comment on why we, I think we recall that we had some kind of law in the books requiring that a municipality have, I'm gonna say 30 days notice, advance notice of the existence of a defect, and that if that defect goes uncorrected after that period of time, only then can there be liability on the part of the municipality. Perhaps you can enlighten me on that. Am I completely dreaming about that?
You're talking about the fire written notice action, but it's changed substantially in the last couple of years. And basically, the Court of Appeals has watered that doctrine down such that if the municipality creates a defect, it's not strict liability, but it's getting close to that now.
Understood, so an absolute bar to an action.
No.
Anyone else? Okay, next item.
Item 3 is a resolution authorizing settlement of an action brought by Margaret E. Troia against the city of Long Beach.
All right, so this is the second personal injury settlement on the calendar, which is the agenda rather for tonight. In 2015, the plaintiff was walking south on New York Avenue to the beach. She rode over allegedly the patch again that had been filled with regrime, which is a mix of sand and pebbles. The city claims that she fell into a depression that was actually concealed by beach sand that had blown into this patch. And the plaintiff said it was actually the regrime mix that she fell right into. One thing that is undisputed is that no barricade was ever erected around the area. And our crew tells us that no depression existed after the patch was completed, and therefore no barricade was needed. We went to summary judgment on this case, and we could not prevail. The plaintiff actually produced evidence that the regrime consisted of play sand, bought from Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that, not from the beach. This case was mediated by a former Second Department judge, and we've seen, without delving into details, which do not behoove the city at this point in time, I can't say I've seen photographs myself, and we are very strongly recommending settlement of this action. The plaintiff has agreed to take payments of installments, 4 separate installments, which greatly reduces and mitigates the impact financially to the city, allows us to budget and plan for it, and again, we very strongly recommend the total settlement. That's the resolution.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
So, you said she was walking, I guess I looked up the case online, it said she was riding a bicycle.
I'm sorry, I did, yes, you're correct.
Okay, and it said she was riding a bicycle, and you might have sort of touching on it, when the session brought it up. Because, section 23.1 of the code makes it illegal to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk. So how does that impact the case of this?
Again, it's one of those things where yes, you can cite the person, but if we created the defect, we can still be held liable for it.
Even though she wasn't supposed to be there?
Correct. Yeah, because it's considered foreseeable that someone would ride a bicycle on the sidewalk. That's how the law works, considering.
Any other questions from the council? Any questions from the public? Yes, no session. Sorry.
There are so many potholes and other things in the city now, it scares me to think that anybody on a bike could fall and sue for those huge amounts of money. I just drove over a big metal plate that all kinds of tar and stuff is flying out of right here. I forget where, anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Does that mean you have to fill in every pothole so we don't get this kind of thing every day? This is scary. We got a lot of potholes.
Not necessarily. What it means is that when we do undertake repair work, it has to be done up to working life standards. That's what it really means in essence.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else? This second settlement, Mr. Lester? Name and address of the record.
Roy Lester, Long Beach. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood that correctly. Are you saying that we are only liable when we do repair work?
We can be liable in a whole broad array of situations, not just repair work, but this is one area that's really blown wide open in the last few years because of expanding court of appeals precedent.
But when we have knowledge of a pothole, don't we have a liability there? Potential liability?
Not necessarily under the doctrine of priority notice. It's when it becomes much more problematic when we are the ones who create the condition somehow that results in the injury. Then priority notice has been substantially evaluated over the past few years in court of appeals level.
So the question,
Correct, where we, in situations where, right.
No,
I'm
when we do-
presupposing that we don't have notice in this situation.
no, I'm saying when we do have notice, because we have a way to report potholes, right?
Sure. And that is another way we can be liable. Yeah.
So when a pothole is reported and it's not repaired, we have potential liability.
Sometimes, yes.
And do we have, what do we do to mitigate that?
Well, in situations where we are informed in writing, in compliance to,
Do we have any type of inspection on, let's say, the bike paths, the bike path, whatever?
that, in terms of regular inspections, I don't know offhand, and I can get back to you on that one, I don't have the answer, but I can tell you that when when my office is advised, usually through the Department of Public Works, of conditions, pothole or something that requires repair, we have a system internally where we make sure it happens within the prescribed period of time, not talking about the repair.
But do we have, and I guess I'm kind of confused on this, do we have what are considered bike paths in Long Beach?
No, we have a system of showers, which is a share the road option, but we don't have established bike paths as per the DOT.
Okay, so the line on Broadway, what is that considered?
We're just in the line, right?
Have you ever seen, as you go down Broadway,
Okay.
there's a line on the side of the road?
That's a share of the road. It's a designated area. It's part of the share of the road, and it's a designated area that bikes should stay, but it's not up to the code of the manual 2.5 traffic control devices for a bike path.
Is that because of the width of the roads?
Yeah, exactly.
How wide does the road have to be on those bike paths?
Don't know that off the top of my head.
But years ago, when Deco Bike came down and we were going to make bike paths, that was considered one of the bike paths.
I don't know that.
You and I were in the same meeting.
Okay, this is about the $125,000.
It's about an injury on a bike.
On the sidewalk in the west end,
No,
yes.
no, well, the other one was on the road.
We finished that one already, this one was on the sidewalk.
So you seriously don't want to deal with it?
It's not dealing with it, Mr.
Because
Lester.
it's on
I'm
this
talking
side.
about an agenda item and I'm
Okay.
sticking to the agenda.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Yes, sorry. Name and address for the record.
Edward Brown, East Atlantic Beach. So what I'm hearing here in the last two items, correct me if I'm wrong, we're gonna pay out $205,000 because the work we did to repair something was claimed by two people who said it wasn't prepared, wasn't completed properly. Is that correct?
But they made those allegations in
I
one
made
case.
the allegation.
Yeah, in one case, the jury agreed that the city was a third.
It's just an allegation, that's all. Absolutely. So why don't we do something to mitigate that, like Mr. Lester said? I would suggest after something repaired, why don't you photograph it, videotape it, so there won't be any dispute about it. $205,000, you can photograph a lot of things. And I think it would hold who's ever repairing responsible to do things properly if they know that somebody's gonna video it afterwards. Suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the site? Mr. Gosselin? Name and address, please.
Sure, Jay Gusler, Long Beach again. So I was really not following this. So both of these items, these were items where the city had some more than a casual, more than a casual contribution to these hazardous conditions, correct?
Assuming they're hazardous, we certainly
All right,
contribute.
for the purposes of our discussion, I'm not, that's our city.
In the same argument, yes, they were patches that were undertaken by the city.
So these weren't just some run-of-the-mill potholes or defects, these were ones that the city actually had.
That's correct.
All right, so is it fair to assume that this is a commonplace event? I mean, you know, the city does work every day, Santa Cruz out every day. Certainly, they don't finish everything that they do every day, and when a job is left, partially finished state, there's invariably an increased risk of somebody having a problem with it or potentially getting injured. Has this been an issue that the city has been sued about in the past? these type of circumstances.
Yes, it was a lot easier to get out of the streets previously. It's becoming more difficult now.
And where is our insurance company on this? Or is this, these funds, these purely coming out of tax funds? There's no, do we have any insurance for this type of a situation?
We have insurance, but we have something called a self-insured retention rate. So if that, it functions just like a deductible, and our deductible is $500,000.
Okay, so basically the first 500,000 in a situation like this, the taxpayer is on the hook for, and beyond that, it goes to our insurance company.
Correct.
Got it, thank you.
Any other questions from the public? Commissioner Miranda, can you just speak to our process on filling potholes, how it works, just briefly while we're on this agenda item, and inspections, and how it works to make sure that the work is done properly?
Well, first of all, on both of these were injuries that occurred on temporary patches. When we do an excavation to replace a water service, to repair a sewer main, we have to temporarily patch the excavation until the ground settles enough that we can make a permanent repair that'll hold up. So we'll use blacktop mound, we generally leave cones out there. A lot of times the cones disappear, or get moved overnight, and then it becomes, somebody may not be aware if they don't see it. So we do the best we can to mark them out. Once they've been given 30 days or so to settle, we'll come in and do a final repair. Once the final repair is done, generally it's not a liability to the city. Potholes, we have our highway foremen and assistant foremen are out there. Street sweepers out there. When they see things, they report them to us, and we try to get to them before we get a complaint from a resident to repair a pothole. A lot of potholes that are small. Sometimes, you're in the winter repairing coal patch temporarily to get through to the summer. That coal patch doesn't hold up as well as cars go through it. But once the warm weather comes, we get back to them. So, it's a process that's ongoing. Also, all our highway personnel are presently going through training with Cornell Cooperative Extension and getting certified for highway and street work. So, we're on top of the training and things of that nature.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions from the council? Next item.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing budget amendments to the Urban Development Fund budget for the year 2019.
Okay. Last month, we hired a new urban development director, and he was going through all the different funds and, in essence, cleaning them up, putting the right amounts into the right budgets so that we're truly doing what we're supposed to with this. So I'm going to just
Since it's 3 items, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot of questions on this, do you wanna come sit up here? Is this microphone okay? I think it'll be easier. Thank you. I guess we'll start item number 4. Yes, please.
So the first item actually does, creates the 2019 Urban Development Fund. The fund puts $30,000 temporary salaries for youth employment. The city usually hires about 10 high school students to intern during the summers. That will be going to that. Supplies and materials will be used for senior programs at the MLK Center and the Learning Center, as well as certain supplies from the community development department, basically just business cards and stuff like that. The contracted services are going to be used for the senior program as well, so that they go in the MLK Center. We're going to be using them, the contracted services for the instructors to come and do some dance, yoga, chair yoga, and all the other activities that the seniors are doing. Gas and electric will be used to pay partial MLK gas and electric funding. And the Social Security will be going to the temporary salaries for youth employment.
Any questions from the council?
It says, talks about rental income. What is the rental income?
The rental income, in the explanation that provided to the council is for the stop parking, stop and shop, stop and center.
Oh, okay.
The funding we collect from the Stop and Shop
Correct.
Park Center is all rented.
So this is the urban development fund, is the MLK, is the funds that come from the rental for that is the fund. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? No? Any questions from the public? Okay, Mr. Gasson? Name and address.
Yeah, sorry, you guys, I'm a bad name. Jay Gus from Long Beach. The temporary salaries, I think that Mr. Sager just explained that, that's for interns or part-timers or something like that. Okay, so that's gonna go into a line, and it's gonna be under, that, express purpose.
Yeah, so the budget line, actually, you can look right on the resolution, it's 86.451102. And the temporary salaries have in the past and will in the future as well be used for the interns, some interns that we hire that work as involved, as well as some of the rest.
Understood, so it can't be used for anything but that, without further action from the council, moving those funds to some other line.
Not necessarily, it can be used for other things, but that is the purpose that we are using it for.
Understood, so is it at least restricted to being used for salaries, or?
It is, yeah, it's used, restricted for the use for temporary salaries, part-time workers, no full-time employees will be able to get paid from that.
Okay, so none of this is going to full-time work, none of that 30,000.
No.
I just wanted to speak to that, the same one in terms of how the money is used and what it's used for. During the summer, I've had the opportunity to work with a couple people who stood here, like Brian. The council has sent actual applications. Students are already, they apply. The council reads some of the applications, and we also have the opportunity to grade the essays that are submitted. Once the students are screened, they're placed in City Hall and or outside of City Hall, and then the students have the opportunity to actually present some of the information learned and gained during that period of time at the end of the summer program.
Well, I'm not disputing the value of a program like that, and obviously, interns have to get, experience somehow.
And I can only speak up until 2016 in terms of how the money's been used since 2016. That's the purpose for the program.
Understood, I just wanted to ensure that it wasn't able to just be used for willy-nilly for any, let's say like a salary increase to a full-time staffer or something along those lines. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Seeing no hands, next item.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing budget amendments to the urban development fund for years 2016 and 17.
So these are urban development funds in the past that haven't been used. They're kind of just sitting there, so we're moving them around to each contracted services. One of the things we're looking to do is actually drastically expand the MLK senior program, as well as fund all, if not most, if not all of the instructors for the Magnolia Center. And so we're trying to move the funds to contracted services so they can use for those services.
So just to be clear, I know we've discussed this. The contracted services are basically whoever comes into the senior programming, whether it's a dance instructor, they don't work for the city, but they're treated as a outside contractor. And they provide the service of teaching a class or painting, or whatever it is. So that's what it is. Any other questions from the council?
Just one, so just for clarity, these are funds that have not been used previously, right? So we're kind of rolling them over to use them now.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had another question on the budget code 54818. I know that for the 43rd year, the vision has been to shift the money from the micro enterprise. Will that money be used to the next item? I'm sorry. Okay, I'll wait.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions on resolution item number 5? Anyone from the public? Seeing no hands, next item.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing budget amendment to the community development budget funds.
So this resolution transfers certain funds, the community development block grant budget funds, which is funds provided by Nassau County, which come to them through HUD. The money is being moved mostly to do improvement to the rec center at Magnolia, as well as to do city hall ADA improvements. I don't know if you guys have seen with the second floor bathroom and the fourth floor bathrooms are becoming ADA compliant. I just recently told that the next one is going to be the fifth floor, to make sure the work that's happening over here is completed prior to the bathrooms being redone. And so that's where most of that money is being moved. In the 43rd year, the PS youth groups and PS youth employment, the reason that's in the transfer is actually just a budget code change. The money is still going to be used for youth employment at the MLK Center, as well as the rec center.
What's the reason for the code change?
It was just, I've been told that when it was entered into the system, there must have been a glitch or a mistake, and so we're just going to change the code.
That's just clarifying.
Yeah.
All right, so now that brings me back to my question. In terms of the micro enterprise, I know we're going in a different direction, but I just wanted clarification. Will any of the money that was actually applied for with respect to the micro enterprise loan, will that $130,000 be used in any way to support any of the entrepreneurs or businesses that are currently here in the city of Long Beach?
Well, as we had spoken, Councilman Moore, if you get me the phone numbers, the gentleman that you were speaking of, who wanted to do a food incubator at the Stop and Shop Shopping Center, I would be more than happy to work with them. There are other programs that we have to work with businesses in the city of Long Beach. The city's always done that for a long time. So I would be more than happy to work with them to get a food incubator going and see what we can do with that, see how we can potentially use CDBG funds, but there's no guarantee depending on what the program is, it has to qualify for the national objective.
Absolutely, thank you.
And those are loans, right, not grants?
Yeah, those were loans, it wouldn't be, we wouldn't mind.
Right. Any other questions from the council? Any questions from the public? Seeing no hands, next item.
Item 7 is a
Thank you,
resolution.
Sigler, appreciate it.
Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase a vehicle for the city police department and to transfer funds.
Okay, so what happened here is a gentleman had paid to have his personal vehicle outfitted with lights and radios and such. He was a member of a local fire department. He now wanted to sell the vehicle, so he went to a vendor in Island Park to have the emergency equipment removed because he wasn't authorized to have it any longer since he was going the rank in the fire department. The vendor thought this was a great opportunity to help out Long Beach because it's a low mileage vehicle. We've got a couple other bids and it comes already outfitted. The guy's going to donate the radios, not donate, but the package includes the emergency equipment and the radios. So it normally costs us close to $50,000 to put a police car on the road. This unique opportunity, we can do it for $19,000. So I'm asking the city council. We didn't buy any vehicles this year, so we're looking to use this to get one. We're still using, believe it or not, some of the cars we got from Palm Beach County after Sandy. So they really have to be, they have to be gotten rid of.
Councilman Mandel?
Acting City Manager Taggy, you mentioned that this person was a member of a local volunteer fire department. It's not the Long Beach local fire department, is it?
No. So I believe it was Lawrence, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. And even though the vehicle is available, is this vehicle that the department needs? Or is this a vehicle that's just an opportunity?
No, we do have a shortage of vehicles, but there was no money in the budget this year to purchase. So we're leaner and meaner.
What is the cost savings of purchasing this vehicle as opposed to the other procurement methods?
About 30,000.
Was there, did you look into 2016 Ford Taurus, purchasing one used with low mileage?
Yes, we did an internet search and we found two. One was for $19,999. Again, this is without the emergency equipment and the radios. The other one was approximately $23,000.
And the cost of the radios only,
The radios, the installation,
the lights, and all that?
It could be up to radios, lights, and everything we need.
Up to $20,000. So definitely more than 10,000 for lights and accessories.
That's just the purchase light, or that's also then?
No, that's it. Yeah, purchase and small, it's installation, and it can be sometimes very labor intensive, depending on the vehicle and equipment. And as long as it's expensive to take on.
I did not expect this.
And there are certified technicians that do this. In the last go-around of Ford Interceptors, they actually weren't using certified installers, and cops were passing out from carbon monoxide that was leaking into the cabin and crashing.
No, we use certified
And this one was done by a certified, vendor, certified.
Is there any, and then we're buying this from an individual, potentially buying it from an individual, is there any warranty or any inspection that's done to make sure this vehicle is okay?
There is no warranty. Once the council authorizes me to make the purchase, I will have the car delivered to the city garage, have our mechanics make sure that there is no hidden surprises with it. And if it does pass that inspection, then we will go ahead with the purchase.
And just to be clear, this isn't the first time the city has bought used vehicles. Is there ever a warranty on a used vehicle when we purchase it?
No, we've never had an extended warranty with the vehicle that we purchased.
What steps do we follow when we purchase used vehicles to make sure that it's safe and that it's road done?
We send it to the city garage, they do a full examination of the vehicle, they drop the oil pan, look at shavings, they check the brakes, they check the drive shaft, they're very thorough on it.
So no different than what this vehicle would go through.
Exactly.
Is there a guarantee that if it's found to be defective, we don't have to purchase it if we approve the purchase?
No, all you're doing is you're giving me the right to purchase. And I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't purchase until I was confident that I report from city garage that the vehicle is working.
Got it.
We have if the police department needs cars, we have a sizable fleet of take-home cars that we've had discussions. Oh, sorry. The city has a sizable fleet of take-home cars for employees, and which we've discussed amongst ourselves. And if the police department was in need of cars, why couldn't we repurpose some of those?
It was attempted in the county and it was mired in litigation. I would love to see us do that, but Rob, do you want to speak on that? Okay, there is other terms and conditions of employment, and they haven't, the county was sued over it, and they lost the case of disqualification.
Can you just speak a little bit more, elaborate on the radio equipment? You said that this car has already been outfitted for police use. So is this the most standard or the most recent technology within the actual vehicle?
Yes, this is the current equipment that we put in the car, if we would do it from scratch.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? No? No. Any questions from the public about the incentive? Yes, Mr. Hanson? Name and address, please.
Bill Tanzi, Minnesota Avenue, Long Beach. Commissioner, the car that you're looking at buying here, it has all the equipment that's necessary, but you're using it as an interceptor?
No, that's the model.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. The other thing I was curious about was the transmission. Obviously, it's not going to be used as a chase vehicle. You don't need the same heavy-duty transmission.
No, the definition of a police interceptor has all of that. It has the heavy-duty alternator, it has to power the equipment, it has a strong drivetrain, so it's actually made to be a police car. And we're fortunate we don't get many high-speed chases, so we need that, but and we're a very small city, but this is a very rugged vehicle.
Great, thank you very much.
Anyone else from the public? Mr. Lester?
Hi, Lester Long Beach. I guess I have three questions. Number one, you said that it's $25,000 to put on lights. Is that what we pay for our vehicles?
It can be up to 25, depending on what vehicle we take. There's certain vehicles that we do low profile, higher profile. Sometimes we just put the emergency lights in the signaling panels. Other times we do like with mark cars, we do a full-fledged roof rack. So it can be, depending on what we buy. Some of those roof racks, just the roof rack alone, is $1,500.
But there's also other equipment as well, radio consoles.
Can you speak into the mic?
There's other equipment as well, such as radio consoles, computer mounts, radio mounts, antennas, things of that nature too.
So this has all the computer mounts and the antennas and
It has antennas and the console already mounted.
but no computer mount.
I don't know, I don't know
And what kind of lights, does it have that roof rack lights or is installed in the grills?
I believe it's installed in the roofs.
Okay. And you said that the county has been sued for using their cars?
No, the county took away, county executive Swati took away the cars many years ago. When he's the county executive, he just didn't do a lot of them. The county got sued as it was violative of the terms and conditions of employment and had to be negotiated. Where it went from there, I don't know.
So are you saying that all of our cars are being used under contract, employment contract with the people who use them?
Not all cars.
We have what, 294 vehicles in the city being used?
I don't know the exact number.
Well, that includes the jet skis. I guess there's 7 jet skis or something. And they're all being used under contract? I mean, is that really?
No, but it's terms and conditions of employment, it's not a contract, it's terms and conditions of employment. If you hire someone and you give them a car, you've now created an expectation. That's what the courts, that's what the case was.
I understand that. How many people have an expectation of a car in this city? Any idea?
10?
10 out of 294 vehicles?
I got to guess off the top of my head.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gusto, did I see your hand up?
Good evening, Dan J. Gusto, Long Beach.
Thank you.
This vehicle, it's got a V6.
I don't know.
It's a pretty important feature. Wouldn't we want to know that before we made a decision to purchase it? No. Okay, good enough. Do we have any other Ford Taurus Interceptors in the city's emergency vehicle fleet? This could be our first Taurus. I'm sorry.
We used to. Yeah, we used to, not any longer. They've since come out of the fleet.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
They've since come out of the fleet, they've aged out, so we had some Ford Taurus police vehicles and they've aged out.
Were they interceptors that were?
I don't know, they were used for police, they were police vehicles used for police. They had police packages in them, they were used for police purposes, I don't know any specifics.
Well, I don't know how familiar you guys are with how volunteers drive their cars, but I'm pretty familiar with them. I can say this, I never buy a used car volunteer. They beat up on them pretty good. Also, I'm not aware the city of Beacon is kind of a one-to-one transaction of any kind, forget let alone a person's vehicle. Is this something that has happened in the past?
Yes, it happened numerous times. For a number of years, we were involved with the GSA government services, some GOA, and we were buying federal cars. They cycled out it for 3 years. I was fortunate enough to know a local federal agent who just drove the car back and forth to Iceland. So we would, every time he turned his car in, he'd let me know. We would send a request in for it, and if no one beat us to it, we would get it. And at a sizable discount.
So are we talking about intergovernmental sales, or are we talking about buying from a private individual?
I don't know that we got one from private individuals.
And how much more will the city need to put into this vehicle before it's ready to go out to the street and function as a police cruiser?
It shouldn't be much at all, maybe a computer, and decals, it will be a marked vehicle.
Okay, and this is, like I said, this happened, these types of purchases have been done in the past.
I don't know of any from an individual, but they haven't purchased used cars.
Because I don't know if it was during the budget or during another resolution that was discussed. where the city talked about spending $36,000 to put gutters on the east end firehouse. And I went and looked online while that resolution was being discussed, and I found a gutter machine that the city could buy and own forever for about $8,000. And I brought that matter to the council's attention, and I was told that the city can't just go, make a random purchase like that, and you guys are bound by state bid and formal procurement procedures, that you couldn't just go online and buy that gutter machine, that you have to pay, some sort of, it would have to be purchased through some more formal process. So how does that, with that explanation that was given to me about the city not buying a gutter machine, how does that now go away to purchase this private vehicle?
Because I was advised that as, from purchasing as well as legal, that as long as we do it through the council action, that it is legal. I don't know the procurement procedure for buying gutter machines.
Okay. Any other questions by the council?
Yeah, we talked earlier about the low mileage. Can you just give an estimate, respect to the mileage?
Gotta know the mileage.
Any other questions? Session?
I didn't catch it in Long Beach. It says Georgia on here. Are you buying it from somebody in Georgia?
No, the vehicle's in Island Park.
Oh, what's the Georgia thing?
That's the gentleman's legal address.
And also, this is $20,000, which for most of the things we talk about is a drop in the bucket. We just spent almost 20 minutes talking about this $20,000 purchase, when $1 million things go by like that, just making something I noticed.
Yes, sir, come on up. Name and address.
I really don't want to come up here for that, but we gotta know the mileage. We can't vote on it before the mileage.
I got the mileage.
What do you got?
26,800.
Yes.
Six cylinder.
That's good.
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. 26,890, 6 cylinder.
Any other questions from the public?
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no hands. I'm sorry, did you want to? Please, come on up.
Since everybody's asking questions.
It's fine.
Equipment
Hold
type
on,
Sarah
hold on, take your time, take your time. Name and address.
Sarah Long Beach, New York. Quick question, Mr. Taggy. Now, since they're talking about insurance mileage, how about the equipment? Will it be transferable? Is it gonna work once we get it? Will it still be under a warranty or?
No, there'll be no warranty.
No warranty.
The equipment will be tested before we accept the car. Like I said, we'll go to city garage and evaluate it. And the equipment is adaptable to our system.
I just, that's because I thought I heard you say, buy it, then get it checked. Should we get it checked?
No, this is the authorization for me to make the purchase. I'm not gonna, that's contingent on the vehicle surviving city garage inspection.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no hands.
On to the voting. Item 1 is a local law amending the charter of the city of Long Beach regarding assessment, levy, and collection of taxes. Introduce move the adoption of this item. Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilman Mandel.
Yes.
Councilman Mandel.
Yes.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Diamond.
Yes.
President Obama.
Yes.
Item 2 is a resolution authorizing settlement of an action brought by Ben Luack against the city of Long Beach. Introduce move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second. Voting, Councilman Mandel.
Yes.
Councilman Mandel.
Yes.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
President Diamond.
Yes.
President Obama.
Yes.
Okay, item number 3, resolution authorizing settlement of an action brought by Marvin E. Trella against the city of Long Beach.
Move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Biden.
Yes.
President Obama.
Yes.
Item 4 is a resolution authorizing budget amendments to the Urban Development Fund budget year 2019.
Move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
No.
Voting, Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Biden.
Yes.
President Obama.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing budget amendments to the Urban Development Fund budget, years 2016, 17.
Move the adoption of this item.
No.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Biden.
Yes.
President Obama.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Item 6 is a resolution authorizing budget amendments to the Community Development Budget Funds.
Move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second.
No.
Voting, Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
Yes.
Vice President Biden.
Yes.
President Obama.
Yes.
And finally, item 7, resolution authorizing city manager to purchase a vehicle for the city's police department and transfer funds.
Move the adoption of this item.
No.
Second.
No.
Voting, Councilmember Mandel.
Well, this may seem like an easy thing, low-hanging fruit. I'm not convinced that we need another car versus the cars that we currently have in the city.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
No.
Vice President Biden.
No.
President Obama.
Well, the item already failed, but I vote yes.
Okay, we'll make a motion to close the meeting.
I will.
Second.
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Mandel.
Yes.
Councilmember Moore.
I just wanted to just publicly thank all of the civic organizations for just really working hard to make sure that we're all filled with the holiday spirit this season. I also want to thank you for all of your service throughout the year, and to all who are here today, I wish you a happy holiday. I vote yes.
Yes.
Okay, we enter our good and welfare portion. 3 minutes of uninterrupted time. If we're able to answer your question, we will. If not, we'll get back to you. And first up, Eddie Verona.
Before I speak about the audit report, I'm curious, how many of you have read the actual report?
Please continue.
The document is crucially important to our city, and I believe it's telling that only one member of the council read the report. For those of you who did read the report, it shows the financial state of our city is atrocious. The audit reveals we are $60.5 million in the hole. That means we have $60 million more in debt than we do in assets. Our debt has increased by 24%, and as of June 30th, 2017, is at $97.9 million. The city is required to pay 100% of health insurance premiums for retired employees, and this, as well as other post-employment benefits, is a liability of over $135 million. The city overestimated its beach revenue by $1.2 million, its permit revenue by $750,000, and its land sales by $750,000, as well as its $250,000 overestimate in fines. The audit report also states, quote, over time, increases or decreases in the city's net position is one indicator of whether its financial health is improving or deteriorating. You will read to consider non-financial factors, such as changes in the city's property tax base and the condition of the city's buildings, roads, drainage, and other assets to assess the overall health of the city. With terrible finances, high debt, booming liabilities, as well as streets that are falling apart, water mains breaking, and potholes, the health of this city is clearly poor. My question is, what is the city's plan to fix their financial problems and improve the health of the city?
I can tell you that we've been briefed on the audit, and I'm pretty sure all the council members read the audit. And
Only
we
one
are-
raised their hand.
Because we're generally not polled. And the commissioner has already made steps to, some of the deficiencies, to improve the deficiencies and correct them, and we have all been briefed. And we are aware of our situation, and, we're moving forward.
Well, what is the plan then?
Well, we don't have a comptroller here, so that's none of our expertise is to discuss this plan with you.
Well, then is hiring a comptroller a priority?
Yes.
And where are we at with that?
We can't find one until we get a city manager, a permanent city manager in place, although we do have a city manager. We've been having a hard time luring someone here without a permanent city manager. I think that's pretty much where we are.
I know there's several candidates who live within the city who are more than able and willing and qualified to be a comptroller, and also our federal single audit report discusses how one of our material weaknesses is not having a comptroller.
Right.
We don't really have this leadership, and we need this leadership to make a change in our city and fix these. And if we don't fix these problems, it will have terrible consequences for the city. We cannot keep kicking the can down the road anymore. We need to, I think, take steps to fix this problem, and we need a plan now. We don't need a plan in a couple months, we don't need a plan in a year, we can't just say we're gonna do something. We need to reduce our debt, we need to stop borrowing, we need to cut expenses, and we need to really look at it. We can't just eliminate a couple $1,000s off of a couple lines, we need real structural changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Cavagini. Good evening.
I'm Paganini, 62 Harmon Street. What I'm about to say really is an internal problem. I really don't want to be here, but I have to be here. I tried to stop what I'm going to say months and years ago. So, a short summary of what I've been saying. Mike Robinson, an acting city manager, Mike Dagny tried to fool the city council and people of Long Beach with Director of Operation Test. Civil Service Commission breaks rules to satisfy acting city manager Dagny. Mike Robinson, assistant city manager since 2012. In 6 years, Mike Robinson has totally demoralized every department in the city, especially city garage. The cost of letting Mr. Robinson be assistant city manager. Number one, the constant failure of DOT inspections. Buses not safe for public, equipment not safe for employees. Bus fleet is always down a bus or two. All equipment constantly breaking down. Sanitation trucks, down to 6 trucks as of today, should be 12. Overtime in sanitation out of control due to lack of trucks. Cost of city in labor, in parts, plus parts, due to lack of maintenance to vehicles. And outsourcing equipment to private shops to get fixed the cost in over 6 years, way over $1 million under Mr. Robinson. He directed the garage. The remedy has to be that Mr. Robinson has to go, and his little buddy in the city garage. Now I'm gonna talk to the council. I'm really disturbed. I worked for the city for 30 years as a bus driver and a dispatcher. I know how the city works. I know what's going on in that garage. I was in the garage. I lived in that garage. It's terrible. Now, basically, you don't have to believe me. Why would you believe me? I'm asking the council to investigate, and there's one person that I respected and worked with over the years who's basically neutral, and he knows all the problems of the employees. That's John Moody, the president of our union. He's the most honest guy I've ever met. Now, I have one question for Mr. Bendo. I'd like to speak to the audience. If I was 100% of what I'm saying,
Just please wrap up.
all right, if I was 100% of what I'm saying, would you make a change of what I said?
Sure, something's not working.
Please don't pull the council, but we get the point.
Could you please investigate? I'm gonna be coming back in 2 weeks. I'm gonna stick with this until it gets fixed. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Barbara Bernardino. Good evening.
Okay. Under the community development, there's something with acquisition. Did I not hear the explanation to that? What is that acquisition of? It says acquisition $75,000.
There's an explanation for it.
You guys don't know?
I don't know. Okay.
You don't know.
You want to complete your comments and then he'll let us know?
Yeah, but turn my clock off.
What was that?
Turn my clock off. Would you comment?
Yeah, so just, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conversation. Hi. Are you the new director? Why don't you introduce yourself to the community?
He did earlier.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the acquisition is a portion of the money that we're gonna try and put together to create affordable housing through vacant and zombie properties in the city of Long Beach. We're gonna work with the Nassau County Land Bank as well as the Housing Partnership and other nonprofit organizations to try and create a scattered sites program. It's going to be buying vacant and zombie properties throughout the city of Long Beach, rehabbing the houses and selling them as affordable housing.
You're going to be working with a local not-for-profit?
Yes, we would love to work with a local not-for-profit if they are in the field of what we want to do, meaning they're in the housing field, we would love to work with them as well.
Okay. The other thing I need clarified, because I see how quickly we changed the charter. The community development monies, does that go into the general fund?
No, it doesn't, it's a special grant fund.
That's correct. So that's still the block grant from Nassau County, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. So in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, the block funds would come to the city would put out an RFP for non-for-profits to come up with an idea to implement those funds. Did the municipality decide to use these funds, or without other entities being informed that the money was here and that they could apply for it?
So Ms. Virginia, you're actually partially correct. There is a public service portion to the community development block grant, but only 15% of the grant can be used for public services. And if you look through, there are those PS lines, those are considered public service lines. We have in the past, and in the 44th year, we're still waiting for the contract to come through, are funding not-for-profit organizations. We are funding the Latino Civic Association, we're also funding Long Beach Reach. In the past, we have funded Long Beach Aware as well.
Oh, I know what you've done in the past, I'm asking about. Yeah.
So the application actually went out this past January in 2018. I was
To who?
here.
Did it go to the non-for-profit?
It did go to the non-profit. Okay. And certain ones did apply, and the ones that had a viable program were funded to a certain point.
Okay, so the city then applied for these same funds?
Yes, so
And if they did, was it as a municipality or under an LLC?
So that's not exactly how it works. The Community Development Block Grant Fund is HUD funds, federal funds, that go to Nassau County. Nassau County is a consortium member, and we're part of that consortium.
Yes.
So we apply for a specific amount of funding. We give them a list of the things we want to spend the funding on.
Who's we?
We as the city as a whole.
Okay.
The city provides the list of funding of activities that we want funded. Part of those activities are public service organizations, but as I said, only 15% of the grant that we actually receive can be spent on public services.
So this is what I'm looking at is 15%.
What you're looking at is not. There's the 44th year is not there. Only what's on the transfers are only lines where money is being moved into or moved out of. That isn't a complete community development block grant budget.
The micro enterprise happens to be a wonderful idea. I'm wondering how that's going to be implemented. That could be extremely important. Not so much for our local business. We have, like you said, other entities to help our local business. But there are businesses that would empower women. There are businesses that could be really quite creative if we implement that correctly. And so I would like the city to put together a committee of the civics and anybody else that they think would belong on that committee. And let's see if we can come up with a model program for the state. I think we could probably do that with that money.
Ms. Bernardino, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're actually moving funding out of that line because it doesn't actually work the way you just said. The funding would be for local businesses. It would be for local businesses who would want to create at least one job for low or moderate income individual. They would have to, not do want to, they would have to create at least one job for low and moderate income individual for at least $35,000 of the money that they get as a loan. For each $35,000 amount, they would have to create a job for businesses that are already in existence in the city of Long Beach, not for new businesses to come in.
When will we be looking at the 44th program year?
We're hoping to have that contract coming from Nassau County mid to end of January.
Yes, okay. Then perhaps the city can put the civics together and we can have some dialogues around some of those items there. My other question is, okay, with South Nassau Community Hospital, I can kind of check on that. The city was wonderful to give us a meeting, my time's up, November 28th. December 5th, you gave a very eloquent explanation, saying how much you've been helping the residents. I would like to ask you to move forward and continue helping the residents by putting together a meeting with South Nassau Community and the civic organizations with a representative from the council. Most of you were, but Annissa's finals are almost over, and maybe Anissa can join us. I think that would be helpful.
Thank you.
Okay,
And
thank you.
we have asked South Nassau, they did have the one meeting in the afternoon, which
Yes,
I'm
I
sure
was
most
there.
people couldn't attend, but we have asked them, and I don't know if they chosen the date yet, but they're gonna have 2 evening meetings soon.
January 8th, Mike, I think you said is the next one, so you can tell us what.
No, we have not been notified yet.
Oh, we haven't.
Once we do it, we'll be posting on our website and social media.
Perhaps some of the city council could appear at that one, that would be helpful.
I'm sure.
Okay,
Thank you,
happy
Mrs.
healthy
Bernardino.
holiday to all of you.
Thank you.
Get jackets also.
And just so you know, the micro enterprise
Enterprise.
loans, it's not grants, it's loans.
Yes, I know
Yeah.
that, but it's,
Ms. Hessian?
there's so many good ideas out there, and it's good to just dialogue, okay? Oh, hi.
Eileen Hessian, Long Beach, I'm talking about the hospital. South Nassau has changed their original plans for a pavilion with a full-service ER because they say it's too expensive. We know how much of our money FEMA gave them, so although it's expensive, they can't afford it. I attended several meetings last week where they discussed their new plans for giving us less than what they had originally promised, leaving Long Beach lacking necessary services. South Nassau says they cannot do anything without the approval of the city, so I'm asking the council members and the acting city manager to be sure that you will be working for the good of the city. South Nassau must be held to their original agreement. They told us what we need, and they must give it to us. At the library, they tried to force a poster meeting where a rep would stand at a poster and talk to one person at a time. But the Long Beach residents there instead gathered around one table, forcing the reps to respond to the group. So everyone heard the questions and everyone heard the answers. That's a much better format. The architect there promised me that the next meeting would be a regular forum, question and answers, a microphone, audience seated. Please make sure that that's what they do. South Nassau says they will not remove the original hospital building because it's too expensive, but we know they can afford it. They said it would cost $5 or $6 million, which is a small part of their FEMA money. In response to my question, Joe Calderon of South Nassau admitted the building was unsafe. If it's unsafe, then they must remove it. Aside from the safety, the building is an ugly blight on the neighborhood, the waterway, and the city. Please make sure that any agreement includes having South Nassau use part of the FEMA money to tear down the hospital. They have no intention of raising the bulkheading, saying what is there is sufficient for a 100-year flood. They won't attach the ER to the pavilion because doing so would mean they would have to build for a 500-year flood, which is what we need. That neighborhood is flooded during a rainstorm. Their proposed building would make the neighborhood even more susceptible to flooding. They have to build to the 500-year floodplain. Please let them know that that must be part of the agreement. Their plan is very vague. They hope doctors will return. They don't know what specialties they will consider. There's no plan for many services that we've had in the past. The distance to Oceanside is too far for many residents, and the cost of an ambulance is outrageous. I heard it starts at $1,200. South Nassau should institute a 24/7 transportation system to take people from Long Beach to Oceanside, as well as provide a way for them to return home for free. It is up to the City Council to make sure South Nassau does the right thing to restore health services to Long Beach. That was the intent of the money given to Long Beach by FEMA. Thank you.
Nancy Golden? Thank you. I like your necklace. Bill Holtmeyer? Thank you, Bill. Great event on Saturday. Roy Lester?
Not say the same thing. Right. Long Beach. Couple of quick questions. About 4 or 5 months ago, we voted to give the LDC money for an attorney. At that time, the LDC said that they were looking into disbanding. What had happened to that?
They're still in existence.
Did they look into it? Did they approach you guys about disbanding? I mean, it's costing us money and not doing anything.
I can only speak for myself, I can say no, they haven't.
Okay. All right, another question. On the bulkheading, we went through that, I think, last meeting. 2,500 feet from Monroe to National, I believe. What is the plan? I mean, I listened to that, I've been following that. What's the plan for the rest of the city? my understanding from the hospital meeting is the hospital has no plans of raising their bulkhead. And if we have bulkheading of just 2,500 feet of the city at 9 feet and the rest of it, and I'm not even sure what the hospital's bulkheading is, does anyone know?
I heard 8 feet, I'm not sure.
I think it's 6, you know, but I'm not.
I heard 8, I'm not quoting hospital.
I'm not sure. But what is our plan for the rest of the city? I know we've been talking about it and stuff like that, but it doesn't seem we have a real plan, we just are hoping.
So we have the community reconstruction.
The critical infrastructure projects is what you're referring to, which is vital to the entire city. There's the other 12 or $13 million from the city, which is
Basically the canals, I understand.
it's going to go towards public, I think, public right of ways. And then homeowners can buy in, and we defer the payments for that. But we do need, obviously, homeowners. We can't force homeowners to bulkhead their properties. We can't do that.
But I mean, the way it appears right now, we'll raise that area 2,500 feet to the 9-foot level, and the water will just come along the side. And
It is true that we need to bulkhead the entire north shore of the island, and I think every single person in this city would agree with that statement.
No, I'm asking for what the plan is, but we don't have one right now.
No, we do have a plan. And
Then
we're doing
I'm
it.
asking what it is.
Okay, so let's start all over again. So we're doing the critical infrastructure in the middle first, then we're getting the $12 to $13 million to do all the public right of way. And then we've set up a program to help homeowners bulkhead their own property. And hopefully one day we'll be able to get more money from the federal government, from the state to help to pay for private homeowners bulkheads. But right now we cannot do that, nor can we force them to do that.
Okay, so the plan is hopefully someday we'll get money.
The plan is that we're getting money to do the critical infrastructure in the middle.
That's the east.
The plan is that we're getting money to do the public right of way stuff. And we have no ability to pay for, nor can we force private homeowners to bulkhead their properties.
Then fine, we don't have a plan right now, I understand that, and I understand we don't have the money, and the last question I have is.
So would you have us vote to force homeowners to bulkhead their properties? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, you did have a good plan, where what you were going to do was allow the city to pay for the bulkheading, add it on to the taxes.
Yeah,
But I haven't seen that go anywhere. I know it was
It's an
one of those
optional
things.
plan, it's an optional plan to help the homeowners if they want.
Right,
But
I
they
was
still
one of
have
those
to pay for
homeowners
it.
that signed up,
But they
and I
still have.
never heard anything from you guys after that. And I understand, I have the money, but
I'm hearing that's not true from the person that would handle that, so.
I'm telling you,
You're telling me, but I'm
Yes.
telling you that that's not true.
okay, I'm telling you, I never heard anything,
Okay.
and I signed up for it. So, I don't know if other people. Last question, Director of Operations. That's a civil service position, correct?
As I understand it, yes.
How many people applied for that?
I don't know.
Mr. Kennedy, you know.
I don't get involved in the civil service, it's a point to be made.
Okay, would it surprise you if I told you my understanding is only one person applied for it?
That's what I've heard also.
Yes.
Yes.
And why do we need that position?
Well, the position hasn't been filled yet, so I don't know that.
Well, why was the position created?
It wasn't agreed,
Well, why did we have a civil service test then?
in case we decide to have that position. Like, in the spring, we plan on having a firefighters test, we have no opening, but we want to have a list there when we change our mind.
So why did we suddenly need that position? Why did we suddenly decide that you wanted to have that position, a civil
I
service
think
test?
it's a viable position,
You think it's what?
a viable position.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Indy Duckburg?
Mr. President, if I could just make a comment. Long Island has 22 New York Rising communities, 13 in Nassau County. We are one of them. You can find that on Google. That's a big part of the plan. That also includes a lot of FEMA projects. as well, so it's all available online.
You just refer to the bulkhead.
The community reconstruction program from 2004, from 2014.
So we do have a plan?
Yeah, it's online.
Yes, indeed. Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, so I have two things I want to discuss with you guys. Good to see everybody. I wanted to bring up the Lincoln Boulevard handicap spot that I talked to you guys all about back in September. I sent all of you an email. I know that you had sent me an email back. I was just curious where we were on that. I know it's 3 months ago, and it's a handicap spot that's in the middle of the block, and we just need to make sure that it is towards the end.
We were told that it was taken care of.
I put a work order into Public Works and had it moved to the end.
It was taken care of, I was told it wasn't taken care
I will check on it tomorrow.
of. Okay,
We were told right after that it was immediately taken care of. No one had any reason, no one knew why. It was a good catch, no one, but we were told it was taken care of.
okay, the last time I drove by, it was not taken care
Okay.
of. Okay, so maybe we're looking at two different spots. Okay, all right. So the second thing I wanted to bring up was about the recycling. I was recently at a Surf Rider event. I'm sure everybody's familiar with Surf Rider. And I'm a member there, and somebody came over to me and brought to my attention who actually does recycling here in the city. It breaks my heart to be able to say this to you guys, that only 10% of our recycling efforts is actually being recycled here. And as a resident that recycles, and there's lots of residents here that recycle, day in and day out, to find out from somebody that recycles, and that's their job, that only 10% of our recycling efforts are being recycled. I wanted to bring this to your attention. I don't know. This is somebody that goes to Surf Rider events and actually works for the city. I wanted to make sure I brought this to your attention. I think this is horrible news. And I just need for you guys to know this. I would like to know that all of my recycling efforts, 100% is being recycled. I don't know what.
Right, I'm not sure that's accurate, but I do know that a lot of the recycling is contaminated. So sometimes what we think is going to be recycled is contaminated and gets sorted out.
I understand. So this is the thing I want to just suggest. So I understand that when we have plastic, you're supposed to completely clean it out. Right, I know you're rolling your eyes.
No, because I know.
I know. So
Who's
this
gonna
is the
do
thing.
that?
So we as educated residents need to be educated about this. As being a Surf Rider member, I now know this because the plastic is going to last for 300 years. And we are trying to change Long Beach and making it a plastic-free, barrier island. And this is all what this is about. And it's really about understanding that we want residents to clean out the plastic so it can be recycled 100%. And we don't want people to roll their eyes. We want to make sure that they
No,
make this barrier island. I understand,
Yeah.
I know. It just, these little things are going to make a change.
And also the plastic bags that you might get in CVS that we now charge, stores charge for.
Yes.
Those are in your recycling, those clog up the machines and they usually get thrown away with whatever, by the recycling yards.
Yes.
With whatever's inside it. So even if you fill it with cans, that could be recycled, very often it gets thrown away. We're not supposed to recycle those plastic bags at all.
Okay, well,
I was gonna say, there's another thing, just worth on out, you know this, but it used to be that 90% of the recyclables here in the US were sold to China. Earlier this year, China stopped buying US recyclable material as part of the trade war. That's created a lot of problems for the recycling programs because they don't have an outlet anymore for the materials that they used to sell. Brookhaven just recently closed down their recycling facility because nobody is buying their recycling material. They have nowhere to put it. So this is a problem it's across the United States, not just here. It's that the market for the material has dried up in effect due to the trade war.
I'll just add again, to echo the sentiments here, I think all of us here are saying that this issue is a priority. I think, however, if we're gonna be proactive, then obviously there needs to be some more further collaboration between the residents, other organizations such as Surfrider, All Right Energy, and all the other organizations, that we can do a little bit more in terms of awareness.
Agreed.
And I think we can even use social media as a platform to remind people about recycling and also some of the process that's involved, so that people's efforts are not in vain.
I agree. And I am seeing less plastic bags and trees, which makes me very, very happy. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And happy holidays to everybody.
Yes, you
And
too.
happy New Year.
Just again for a quick update, I do know our Public Works Department met with our recycler just as recently as last week to talk about this exact issue, which was kind of ironic because I'm sure you saw the 60 Minutes report.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are working proactively, and we do post regularly about waste from everything from water to energy to recycling. So.
Thank you. Sam Pinto?
Good evening, Sam Pinto, Long Beach. First, putting on my civic hat, I'd like to thank Councilman Moore for recognizing the members of the civics. Just to clarify for the community and to give an update for the city council and the city administration, we first thank you for giving us the opportunity to spread holiday cheer. If you were not aware, we put up, organized by the civic, spearheaded by the West Palm Civic with a community-wide event. We put together a wreath-making event at the VFW, which was very, very well attended, to spread holiday cheer, where we created wreaths for Christmas, Hanukkah, non-denominational, holidays in general, just to spread cheer without the city. And you guys gave us the permission to put them up on every single one of the booths. On the boardwalk, which looks really nice, we also went out and purchased Christmas trees and put a Christmas tree on, I think, either Washington or Grand and on Monroe Boulevard, with lights for the community to enjoy. So we appreciate that, and we also appreciate the recognition from Councilman Moore and the rest of you for helping spread the cheer. Part of that also, I'd just like to bring up that I've been taking on running. It's been really good. It's been fun. Been part of the city runs. The Parks and Recs, they do a really good job with these programs, and I know that the CSE workforce does a lot. They totally deserve the merits and the recognition. But the team that does the planning for Parks and Recs, they do the Christmas tree lighting, and they do the Hanukkah menorah lighting, and all those other things. It takes a lot of planning. They do a lot of effort, and I just want to bring attention to the recognition for the Parks and Recs team that does all the planning. So I want to thank them for that. Switching hats to the firefighter union hat, couldn't help but hear that there's a test being hopefully ordered just now. I wasn't really going to bring it up, but I do appreciate that. The union recognizes the importance of that and thanks the city for consideration. And we're willing to offer any assistance and help with the job spec or the creation or processing of the actual examination notice and requirements. We're willing to offer our assistance in that if needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year, everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy New Year. And thank you again to all the civics. It does look really nice on the boardwalk. Mr. Jay Gessler.
I'm good.
Thank you, Jay. And finally, Bill Tansey. Thank you for your work with the SantaCon. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Bill Tansey, 59 Minnesota Avenue. As you know, I am the president of the West End Neighbors Civic Association. And what I would like to do is thank both City Manager Tagney and Commissioner Tagney for their help on the SantaCon. Now, let me give you a little bit of a background here, really quickly, not a whole lot. For those of you that aren't aware, SantaCon was going to Rockville Center. The police department of Rockville Center didn't want it, and they did twist arms to get them to cancel it. They canceled it, they moved it here to Long Beach. They started contacting business establishments in the west end of Long Beach. They never said that SantaCon had the blessing of the city of Long Beach. They just didn't mention that at all. Now, I've received any text messages, phone calls, emails. I I know Brendan got more than that, and I'm pretty sure that both the chief and the city manager got a few more than I did. But anyway, Brendan and I went out last night talking to people, and I went out today talking to people. And what I did love about this was, everybody that I talked to today was, okay, yeah, I'll listen to what you have to say, but I'm waiting for Lieutenant Ryan to come by. Now, that would speak to the fact that Commissioner Tagney's department has a good, solid relationship with the merchants of the West End, and we appreciate that. You know, we do respect our police officers, they respect us right back, and this just showed how things can work when people work together very efficiently. But I would also like to say, as talking to some of these people, like half the people I talked to today didn't know that they were part of SantaCon until I took them to the website. So thank you very much for your response on that. We really appreciate it, and I hope everybody has a joyous holiday season.
Thank you. All right, everyone, that's it for our final meeting of the year. We hope everyone enjoys the rest of the holiday season and has a very happy new year.